In my
Mhm.
experience, and I've been on both sides of the camera, one as the interviewer here and one as the respondent or the one being interviewed. It seems that it's the editors, the who have really ultimate control, or who seem to control the spin of the story of their journalists in written paper or whatnot, with the exception of the news form, of course. We're a whole different ballgame. But anyhow, so if the editors control the story and the spin, and the corporate board controls the editors, then is there ever really any way to escape bias?
Well, no, and that's a good question. I mean, everybody has an inherent bias, and so that covers editors and corporate boards, as you mentioned, but it also covers you and me and anyone. Any writer is naturally going to have some sort of bias. You, as a reporter, I decide to talk to some people and not to other people, right?
Hmm.
It's impossible. You can have a goal of being as objective as possible, but it's inevitable that your life experiences and whatever is going to influence you. I think what's important is when for news organizations to admit to their bias. Something like the Toronto Star is quite biased, but at least they claim that there's the Atkinson principles of social justice, and you can go and look it up, and that informs everything they do. They still purport to objectivity, I guess, but there's a known bias there, and that counts for most of the media. It
Right.
used to be in the past, it used to be far more obvious. One paper would be aligned with the conservatives, another paper would be
Yeah,
aligned with the
it would be
liberals.
a
But we don't have
declared
that
it would
anymore.
be a declared bias. Am I correct?
Yes, and
Whereas,
yeah. So caveat emptor, right? I mean, the consumer of the news media then goes in knowing, okay, I'm going to get the right-wing view from this publication or this, news outlet, and then I'm going to get a left-wing view from another one. So that allows people to be informed, I guess, of what they're getting.
but now you're suggesting that that kind of has eroded that apparent bias,
Well,
or more
I think what
obvious.
we're now seeing is an argument where the new media, the social sort of media, is full of bias, and the older sort of legacy media are trying to burnish their reputation by claiming to sort of be more objective.
Okay.
And I think that's a problem. I mean, we need to recognize that everybody has biases, and not, just the fact that you've been around for 150 years doesn't suddenly make you the holder of the tablets.
Right.
Um,
And speaking of, we were talking about what the federal government has done in a response to fight what they call misinformation. And in 2019, and I found this interesting, and you highlighted it in your story, Trudeau spent $7 million to fight misinformation. And I said, wait, 2019, that was an election year. That was an election year, and that election happened later in the year. So I'm sure that grant wasn't given, during the election or after. To me, that reeks of political interference with independent media, or purportedly to be independent media. Am I wrong on perceiving it this way?
Well, I would certainly rather not have the federal government going around handing out money to news organizations so that they can tell everybody what's real and what's not. As I said, the part of what I got into in my story was this SPOT, how to spot fake
Right.
news program that the federal government put $500,000 into, run by the legacy newspaper industry
And
in
explain
Canada.
to our viewers what that was, the spot analysis.
Yes, well, it was just sort of four little tools to spot fake news. The first one I have to remind myself here, based on SPOT, is it a credible source, which was the S? Is the perspective biased, which was the P? Are other sources reporting on the same story, and is the story timely? And we got into the biased perspective, which was point two. I mean, everybody's biased. So,
Right.
so what do you gain from that?
The
The
source
first
one
one
was problematic.
is the source credible? Well, what does that mean? I think one of the great attributes of the social media is that you can provide all sorts of evidence right directly in the story, right? You don't have to have a printing press anymore. You can put hot links in. You can
Right.
provide other links in other ways. The one that really got me was our other sources reporting the same story, which suggests that anytime you break some new news, it's reason to be suspicious. And
Right.
that used to be one of the hallmarks of every journalist wanted to have a scoop or to cut against the grain and say things that no one else was saying. And here you've got the federal government funding this program that says don't listen to anybody who has anything different to say,
Right.
which I just thought was absurd.
Yes, that definitely sounds absurd.